that. Okay, so now we're recording. What's the intro again?
Jesus Christ. No, it's a sound check.
Oh yeah, sound check. So we just did a sound check though, and it worked. Okay, cool. So this is gonna be part of it. We're not cutting this out.
Episode 3.
This is technically okay. I know that the Captain Marvel one said episode 2.
I know,
but it was episode 1.
Right.
So does this become episode 2 or?
Let's call it episode 2.
All right, fine. Let's call this episode 2. Hi. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on when you are listening to this. My name is Lance.
My name is Toby.
And we are the Downtime Dudes. Oh wow,
that was cool.
That was good. And that clap was the sound of a high five.
Oh my god.
Tonight's topic is
wait. So first things first. Thank you everyone for sharing that first upload that we did.
Yep.
We finally got the ball rolling. We've been sitting on that episode for
2 months.
Something.
Since before Endgame.
Yeah. And we're definitely, I don't want to say definitely, I want to do an episode on Endgame to prepare for Spider-Man, and to sort of recap what we did get right in our in our Captain Marvel
prediction.
Yeah, man.
Because where we were listening to the recording after we watched Endgame, we realized that we got a few guesses right.
We've got a few guesses right.
Yeah, I can already name one from Toby. Toby definitely got something right there.
No, and we've been getting a lot of feedback. So I just want to plug real quick. Thank you to my cousin Gabby for providing us with the banner that we've been using. I forgot to plug her last time, I guess.
Nice. Thanks, Gabby.
And then let's see. Thank you to Philip for giving us our topic today.
That is true. So the first person to comment on one of our on the thing I posted anyway. I don't know. Did he post on your thing? Because
it
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're right. Either way, the first comment we got was a topic request to cover elves. And for
So whether you love him or you hate him,
I hate them.
Elves.
So
let's start with that.
Wait.
Bury the lead.
First of all, there might be a lot more unprovoked bursts of rage.
No. Okay.
And swearing. So
wait,
parental guidance is advised.
Yeah.
If you are
okay. So
minors.
Particularly this episode, and we'll tell you on future episodes when we plan to lift the parental guidance barrier. This one definitely parental guidance. Please be careful. We plan to swear only because you could give a shit about halflings. You could care whether or not some dragonborn or I don't know some Humie. I don't care. Whatever. But there's always that one race you love or hate, no in between.
That's true. I have never seen a race that was more polarizing in opinion than elves.
Yeah.
You either, like you said, either you love them to death or you hate them.
It's either they resonate with your soul or you think they are the epitome of Twink Mary Sue, immortal, haughty, prideful. I don't want to rail on them too early, but
wow,
that's what I've heard. All of these words, I've just heard them. Those aren't even my words.
Where did you hear them from, Toby?
Just a bunch of places.
Okay, just checking. No, because you only said one good thing about them. They resonate with you. Or Mary Sue. Something goes full negative.
I feel like I'm vibing you a little bit. Let's go into elves.
Actually, as much as I dislike the concept of them, and I don't feel like they resonate with me at all, I want to offer a balanced perspective and actually recount some of the lore that I think the average person might not have read about.
Yeah, because you wanted to jump into D&D, you're like, oh hey, elves, I know them from maybe Lord of the Rings, or...
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yes. So, for the purposes of this discussion, the elves we'll be talking about will be centered around Forgotten Realms lore.
Yeah.
We might have a callback to how elves are featured in other forms of popular culture, or in some ways were inspired by other, like how Forgotten Realms elves were inspired by, let's say, Tolkien elves.
Yeah, because they're just this pop culture mega icon in fantasy, everything.
Yes, and what do they represent in the modern times? What kind of people tend to lean toward wanting to be an elf?
Yeah.
What kind of people hate elves? Like we hope to cover all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and particularly if you're running a game, some RP notes as a GM for elves, RP notes as a player for elves.
Yep, pretty much. Okay, so we should probably start with what is an elf?
Who doesn't know at this point what an elf? But you might get your elves confused. Forgotten Realms elves aren't your daddy's elves.
They kind of are because I think they're actually inspired heavily by Tolkien's
A bit
elves.
too heavily.
Yes. So I learned this earlier today when I was cram reading for this.
Okay, Philip, you gotta know. You know what we put us through? We just crammed like 4 books of D&D lore today for this session.
10 minutes ago. So no way. So if we get anything wrong, feel free to correct us in the comments.
No, because that's what the comments are for.
Yeah, no, I'm just inviting them.
Yeah, no, definitely. Guys,
Yeah,
if you feel you're an elf and we, as the Downtime dudes, got your homeboys wrong, please elucidate us.
That's true.
Yeah,
I would
in
love
the comments, and we'll engage you. We promise.
I would love that. Okay, so what are elves in Faerun? Elves are just to begin with, elves weren't created the same way all the other races were.
Right.
They are literal incarnations of Corellian's blood. So they are these immortal beings who are physical representations of souls that eventually go to Arvandor to get reincarnated every time. So an elf is truly immortal.
Question from the audience.
Yes.
I thought elves only live about 700 years.
Yes, that is the physical lifespan of an elf. However, elves technically get reincarnated every time they die, which is why giving birth to another elf or killing an elf is such a sacred thing for the race.
Uh-huh.
It extends to how they build their culture.
Right.
Like killing an elf is not going to be the worst thing you can do to an elf.
Because they'll get reincarnated.
They'll just get reincarnated. So the worst thing you can do, there are 2 things that they generally do.
Mm-hmm.
One is they make it so that you do not find a mate, you do not find a child, you spend the rest of your life living a lonely experience,
Just by yourself.
or you exile them,
Wow.
which
Wait,
is for the dangerous one.
for the RP notes for the reincarnation, is this like you die, like whenever somebody kills an elf, another one is born somewhere else?
That's a great question, Toby. Yes, not necessarily another one is born, but the next elf that is born has a chance to have that elf's soul.
Oh, so they get stocked up in like some Valkyrie in Valhalla type deal where they're all just there waiting to get their turn to get reincarnated back into whichever elf gets born.
Yeah, the soul goes to Arvandor, which is the first layer in the outer plane of Arborea. I am reading this from Forgotten Realms Wiki.
Oh my god, if you already knew this, kudos for being a diehard elf fan.
Yes, we are not exactly the experts on this topic.
And we would love to consult experts on this topic, but we've got a lot more to do on these, brother.
Yeah, this is the race with the most flavors of ice cream. It's just really hard to cover all of them, but we'll do our best.
Alright, so
Okay.
flavors of ice cream.
Okay.
We already talked about how elves, where they came from.
Actually, can I just finish up on reincarnation?
Oh, go ahead.
No, because I feel like this is important.
Go ahead.
So, let's say what does it mean for an elf to be reincarnated to another's body? There are several main stages in an elf's life. When you are young, you're
A
born
young
an elf,
elf.
you don't really know anything outside of the experience of the current mortal life that you're in.
Okay.
But when you're about close to 30 years old, or a
Uh-huh.
couple decades up to 30, you get an experience that they call flipping through Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. It's super useful if you want to know everything about elves. This is pretty much where you get it. They call it the first reflection. The first reflection is a phase by which, when they are undergoing a trance, they see the lives of not their own, dreams of not their own, but experiences from their past lives.
Dude, I think you're describing Avatar.
Elves are all technically avatars.
Oh shit, that's awesome.
If this race's lore was not confusing enough. Next, the next phase in an elf's life is called the drawing of the veil, and that's when they stop getting these trance-like seizures where they see their past lives.
That's when they mature mentally into like their whole lifespan of memories and everything.
That's when their sensory experiences are limited mostly to their current mortal state. However, unlike the rest of the races, elves have the option to dream, meaning they can choose to dream, but they don't really like doing that because for a race that has multiple reincarnation cycles, it kind of messes them up a bit.
Yeah, I get that. You have a whole millennia of memories to create dreams from. It can get a bit effy.
Okay, and the last phase before we move on to the next thing. Apologize.
No problem, bro.
Is aging. Elves don't. I'm reading straight from the book now. Most elves don't age outwardly as other humanoids do. The skin of adults remains smooth, their hair does not gray, and their bones do not ache. Even the oldest elves look similar in age to a human, perhaps 30 years. Yet there's one sign that they're about to die. Cataracts in the shape of crescents point down that appear over the pupils of both eyes when the elf is in trance. This change is commonly known as the transcendence, and evidence that Sehanin Moonbow has opened the doors to enable an elf soul to return to Arvandor, a direct sign from the gods themselves that it's time for an elf to get their affairs in order. So these elves are elves as a race are generally very tied to their gods.
I can get that.
Yep.
So because they visit them every 700 years.
Pretty much. I wonder how much they remember actually of their past lives when they're actually dead. Because I'm pretty sure 670 years of not seeing your past life is tough.
By the way, if you want to read more into that, there's a whole chapter on elves. Page, what's this? 37? Yeah. Page 36 of Mordenkainen's Tome. I'm sure all of the nerds would want to pick that up.
Yeah, you guys can pick them up from Neutral Grounds or Fully Book.
Fully Book, whatever.
Yeah,
wherever you get your D&D stuff.
Okay, yep. All right, so
moving on. Well, you picked up on a few things I want to touch on. So
sure.
You said they don't really age, but this is different from the timeless body feature of a monk.
Oh, it's actually very similar.
Right.
It's similar. They don't have an outward aging, but they have a sort of ticking time clock. It's just that it's never manifested biologically like a monk.
Right.
So they're all monks.
So even if you are on death's door in terms of aging as an elf, and then you'll never really get there.
Pretty much.
You're still as nimble and agile as you once were.
Yes.
My God.
You are at your prime forever once you get to that point.
Okay, so in terms of RP notes, because you get to remember everything that you've ever lived through, what's with leveling up? What's with proficiencies? Why can't you just have everything?
No, you don't remember everything. You just experience them in weird flashbacks while you're trancing. You don't recall your entire life.
Oh, I see.
But you do get a lot of bits and pieces. But I don't think that's enough. Maybe it's enough RP-wise to gain a certain proficiency.
Yeah.
But probably not enough to be wow, I just had the weirdest trance, I'm level 20 now.
Oh, okay,
Probably
I get you. But it's completely valid to create an elf character and try to have some RP coming from, you know what, in a past life, I was a bard, so let's put persuasion in there.
Yeah, or in a past life, I was evil and suddenly I have this entire backstory trying to redeem my soul.
Dude, that's cool.
Yeah. Actually,
speaking of which, elves, mostly chaotic good.
Yeah.
So you don't sort of need in terms of RP notes. Why are we chaotic goods? Because elves, they live so long, they don't really have to tie themselves down to a particular creed or sort of motto, because they'll outlive any institution. I mean, that's a weird thing to say, but they'll pretty much outlive any human institution or civilization that they can see and transform themselves almost all the time, every decade or so.
Yeah, elves tend to have this very transient view of everything. They always think in the long term, which is why sometimes they get frustrated by the very short term nature of some races. In fact, a friend of mine told me that one reason they were able to relate to elves so much is because they feel like people just come and go in their lives.
Damn.
I know.
Which is, yes, correct for elves, but also wrong because now we found out that when you reincarnate, you're basically the same guys every time.
No, I meant, I guess, being an elf in relation to other humanoid races.
Yeah.
No, people come and go. Like,
Yeah.
one moment, like this Triton or this human is my best friend, and like next moment they're dead because they don't live 700 years. No, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Actually, we've covered some elves, maybe a little bit of RP, pero we're not really going to do justice because there's so many ways to RP that maybe we can get into some specifics on people we know who played some elves that we feel are like, that's an elf.
Okay, so I kind of want to get down to how elves appeal to people first before we go into there, because like,
Sure.
what are elves traditionally?
It's more like, why do you want to play an elf?
Yeah, elves have always been the banner people for what is traditionally deemed to be beautiful, what is traditionally deemed to be noble.
Yeah.
Basically, this is has a very
Elegant, like graceful.
They have
Almost just saying the straight up fancy.
foresight.
My gosh.
So like they definitely bear a lot of inspiration from Tolkien's elves. And Tolkien is very much known as for being a pessimist. All of his writing has always assumed that elves, these constant beings of nobility, stand the test of time against a world that's slowly getting industrialized. He went through World War I, so for him, all of these guns, tanks, all these products of industrialization are bad, and that the world's morality is degrading. So
They're the people who remember the way things were.
Yeah, so they're like Captain America in a sense. Captain America was this guy who was frozen in time and transferred his values over to a new time zone, a new era.
Right.
But it was shown through Marvel Cinematic Universe that his brand of justice was necessary in both eras. There are just some things that are enduring. And I think that in most versions of pop culture, this is what elves represent.
Yeah, I mean, you can have elves outside of the Tolkien verse, outside of the Forgotten Realms. You'll have that enduring, immortal race of like humanoids who are just like, we don't like the way things are happening right now, and our ways are better.
Yes. So there's definitely a snootiness to when you play an elf. There's definitely a I know more than you because I've seen this happen a million times, and you're just, and half-orc jackasses back in the day are just as stupid as half-orc jackasses now. So that's how a lot of elves kind of see things.
And you know what? Going into that, when I said that a bunch of like universes have a stand-in for that race who are sort of really aged and sort of perceive time and civilization and the way that we do things in this larger scale, there tends to be this strong emphasis on nature, on protecting protecting the environment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On growing with nature.
Yeah. So another reason why, Tolkien and a bunch of others believe that elves are the bannermen for what the ideal is that a lot of their traits, powers, and lore are tied very much to the world, nature, and the way things are. In a weird sort of way, it's as if these elves were built by design, All these quote-unquote perfections are by design.
Right.
So that kind of makes them hard. It makes it hard for them to accept change and evolve and adapt.
Right. Because they've gone through so long and adapting very little.
Yeah, and they're just so tied to their natures.
Right. Pulling this back to the Forgotten Realms, what does that mean for like all of our elven players who are like, our civilization's so much better and all of that stuff?
Sorry, let me correct you. You're ruined.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Last time I checked, Myth Janor got crushed by a massive Netherese ziggurat. Thank you, Netherese Empire.
Alright, so elves in Forgotten Realms at present time. What are you looking at? What kind of people are we talking? they're scattered. There's no really like place. Silvery Moon comes into
Yeah, it's one of the main
plans.
bastions for sure.
Right. So what are the elves in Forgotten Realms sort of representing?
Okay, so let's talk about the many kinds of elves, though. Because elves, I think, upon looking at Player's Handbook, Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, and
Oh
Xanathar's,
my god. You what?
they have the biggest variation of any race.
Yeah, definitely.
You even have one variation of elf that has 4 types of variation. Eladrin, so yeah. Okay, so
Which, spoiler alert, aren't really elves.
apparently they're like the elves broke away from them.
Yeah.
So Toby once a while ago asked if they were the hillbilly cousin of the elves, and I told them no. The elves are the hillbilly cousins of the Eladrin
Oh my god.
because these guys are fancier elves.
No biases at all in this podcast.
Are you kidding? I'm super biased. I'm super biased. Like you can't take. Okay, I try. I try
you
so
know
hard.
what?
I try so hard.
I'm not gonna fault you for it. All right, so
Try so hard.
elves. You got 3 basic ones in the Player's Handbook:
Go ahead.
High Elf, Wood Elf, and the Drow.
Yep. Want to talk about those first? Then we can
Uh,
move on to the more exotic ones.
You sure? No problem. So High Elves or Sun Elves or Moon Elves are generally your more hoity-toity ones. They think. I mean,
That
even
was
in the
Toby
book-
and not me.
Bro,
That was hilarious.
Even in the book, they say that they think themselves better than most races, and even more so than other elves.
Yeah. It's
Um,
proof that elves can be wrong, guys. So sorry, go on.
shit. So high elves usually these are gonna be your wizards. They have a bonus to their intelligence score. These are usually the sort of more book smarty in terms of RP notes. This is what I experienced, right?
Yeah.
Like high elves tend to become more of those wizard types. Maybe some eldritch knights in there, just because people are trying to leverage on that intelligence score and that
Yep.
cantrip. Wood elves definitely your ranger. This is, I guess, the closest to the Tolkien elves that I can see, because they're really more of those nomadic.
Well, no, there are also high elves in Tolkien lore. There are
No.
multiple kingdoms.
I'm sure.
Rivendell's like
The
Wood.
high elf.
no
area.
wood. Wait. Oh man, all the Tolkien people are gonna burn us.
Oh,
I'm
wait.
Wait, keep talking. I'll Google this.
Okay. So basically, wood elves, you get a lot of rangers, you get a lot of like dex-based fighters, clerics also because their wisdom score goes up by 1. Druids mostly. I mean, just from the word wood elf, you get a lot of this like nature vibe. I'm sure you'll get there. Dark elf, drow. I mean,
Drow. They're drow.
they're drow. Like you see them everywhere, mostly as bad guys, and that's not being biased. That's just the way most mods and adventures are written. I didn't write them. I mean, drow were the bad guys, and there is a bad guy drow in Waterdeep Dragon Heist. You get captured by them in OOTA, and particularly in season, I want to say 4, season 3.
Okay, there's way too much to read about it. I'm just gonna jump back in the conversation. But basically, there are elves who are. But basically, elves are more in tune with nature. I actually think that the Lord of the Rings elves are a combination of high and wood elf.
I think it depends on what city they're from.
Yeah, okay,
And-
fine. That's probably right.
But like, I'm not the subject matter expert.
Okay, so for the drow, here's the take on the drow. Where did they come from? The drow, at the very beginning, when the elves were a whole race,
Yeah.
they were birthed by there are 2 main gods in the pantheon.
Right.
You had Lorethian, Corellian.
Yeah, there we go.
Corellian Lorethian, and his now probably ex-wife, Lolth.
Oh, I see where this is going.
So yeah, Corellian was okay. There are different accounts, honestly.
My God.
But I think the short version of this is that Lorethian was not a great dad, and that Lolth convinced half of the elves
Right.
that Corellian was holding them back from their true potential. So they betrayed. A lot of them betrayed Lorethian, and they started this whole kerfuffle between them.
Right.
And ever since then, elves as a race have never been so like hoity-toity and happy.
Yep.
Because the entire race and all the reincarnated cycles have this responsibility to own up to what they did. And that's why elves have a deep sorrow in the Forgotten Realms universe. The elves that betrayed Larethian became the drow.
Right.
The drow became servants to Lolth, and they had their own crazy, brutal, hedonistic society, which is super counter to how elves try to maintain control over their passions. So,
You got something?
yeah. So, here's the thing. Drow are traditionally villains.
Yes.
Because it is a matriarchal society where elves torture, sorry to the kids listening to this.
No, we already made that caveat.
You're right. They have orgies. In fact, when they graduate, when Drizzt graduated from his fighting school, the reason one of his big failures was he failed to participate in an orgy when the priestesses wanted to, sup from his genes.
Yeah, they wanted to get down with the boogie, and
But he's like, I don't love you, so I'm not, because I'm Drizzt and I'm a Mary Sue, so I'm not. So I automatically have, very safe conservative Western values.
yeah,
Pretty much what Drizzt. No, sorry, Drizzt fans, but that's pretty much what he did.
Right.
Okay, so Drow society has traditionally been villainous, and have had different shades or flavors of, that level of malevolence.
Right.
But in this day and age, there are a lot of gray areas.
Definitely.
Drow are still portrayed as evil, usually villains.
Right. But you can count on them to look after their own. After their own self-interest.
Okay, you saved yourself there because Drow society is basically this massive, never-ending game of Thrones. In one of the older D&D books, even that Lance showed me, it said that there was an editor's note that there was no way in hell a society like this could ever really exist, and only exist for fantasy purposes. Because their entire it's interesting because their entire system is about killing each other and betraying each other. If you betray another drow house and you kill all of them, then your drow house ascends. But if you leave even one of them remaining, it's a war crime.
Wow.
So you need to completely genocide the crap out of them, or else you're screwed.
Genocide the crap being one of
Extinct.
the favorite moves of Drow.
Yes, you need to fully extinct the house that's above you. At the moment, I believe the Bane Rays are on top as of the Out of the Abyss timeline in 5th edition.
Yeah, but that's for like if you want to make a character, I guess, then dibs on Bane Rays because that would be in your top Drow.
But it also has a huge bullseye because everyone would want to kill you.
Definitely. So, going back to why you play Elves.
there could be a whole episode on Drow, honestly.
On Drow history. No. Okay.
Yeah.
So, why in the world would I'm playing D&D. Oh, hey, that's a cool thing. What else do you got? Oh, we have humans, we have dwarves, we have halflings. Oh, and we have elves. Let's do elves. Why? Why are they doing that? Taking away all of the stuff we kind of talked about. That's for big nerds, right? You're not gonna get deep into that shit.
Okay, so,
well, wait.
Sorry, go on.
I gotta say, me personally, I only have one elf character who never graduated past tier 2.
I have an elf character who Paul Gabbett killed at tier 2 during the Death Curse season, and I have an elf character who is literally a joke right now. I rolled for all his stuff in Xanthar's Guide, and he's basically Seto Kaiba with Lord Farquaad's body.
Oh, shit.
I rolled for height and weight. And he's an elf paladin.
You have a Yugimoto?
No. I rolled for him, and he's basically this conquest paladin asshole.
Wow.
And the dice made him.
Okay.
It's the dice's ugly baby.
So, why do you want to play elves?
How about we talk about the people we know who actually play elves?
And why they...
Sure. Okay. For the purposes of this discussion, so can I just make another disclaimer?
No problem.
I'm going to talk about half-elves real quick and count them as... And it was already reported by Forgotten Realms that they are not elves.
Alright, so, sure.
Half-elves are seen as sort of this blasphemy to most of the elves, while some elves see them as a new and interesting way for these souls to experience life. So not everyone sees them as bad, but most elves generally don't look at them fondly.
Okay.
So You want to count half elves in our discussion for players because that might be easier for you too.
Well, maybe somebody wants to do another episode on half elves, but as a quick and broad of it, because there's still so much to cover. Half elves are seen as not elves by elven society and not humans by human society.
They're also not elves by Wizards of the Coast. So yes, you have the full trifecta.
You have just a full trifecta of these guys who get to RP, and it's even in the description of the player's handbook, who are definitely in this no man's land in terms of like a culture.
Reading straight from Mordenkainen's half elf, half soul? Question mark. From the elven perspective, the birth of a half elf represents a disruption of the natural order of reincarnation. Elves in different communities and across different worlds have numerous ideas about the nature of disruption because the gods have never given an answer that seems applicable to all of them. Yada yada yada. The soul of a half-elf might be an elf soul whose connection to the Celadrin had been weakened, or might be a true elf soul trapped in the body of a half-elf. Many elves, especially younger ones, view the existence of half-elves as a sign of hope rather than as a threat. An example of how elf souls can experience the world in new ways, not bound by a single physical form or a particular philosophy. The only real way for them to be, how do I say this, pushed away from the nature that we talked about them being tied to so much earlier. So, yeah, you half-elves are not elves. That is the long and short of it. But do you really want to be elves, though? So let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that.
Why does someone... You've been asking that, I'm sorry.
It's fine.
But I feel like...
There's so much.
There's just so much crap to talk about when you're talking about freaking elves.
Yeah, because they want to make themselves above and exclusive from the rest. So you have to talk about them like this.
When you think elf, who comes to mind? I have like 3 players.
Oh my god. Okay, we can just go like sort of like some LV type things that sounded super racist that they did. Maybe.
Okay, so I basically had to DM this party called Half Master Race. And half of them were elves. One of them was a half elf.
Yeah.
And he always got bullied by the other 2 guys. One was a wood elf and one was a high elf. Who would high five every time this half elf screwed up.
Oh my god.
They were all friends in the Barcada, so that was
cool.
It was cool. Yeah. It was cool. So the elves seem to play on these 2 main tropes. One of them played a character named Kale, who's basically a stand-in from Warcraft. And he liked the idea that elves were above all the rest.
Right.
They had the perspective, they had the birthright, and he played an elven prince.
Okay.
So he basically wanted to create this character
kingdom,
who was trying to reclaim his kingdom.
There we go.
So, thank you. So basically his whole story revolved around outshining everyone as the ultimate pyromancer elf.
Nice.
And reclaiming his kingdom. He saw the half-elf in the party as an abomination, and they always exchanged heated arguments, which I thought was extremely good for their RP, but something on that completely... I could write a whole novel on that adventure they had, because the role-playing was really good. And they eventually went full circle, which was fantastic, and I'll talk about it some other time. The second elf...
Yeah, go.
Sorry, just real quick. The second elf was named Sanguine, and he's a wood elf who's basically this guy who the guy played an elf because he wanted to seem like he knew better than others and to look down on other people.
Right.
He tortured people. He basically enslaved the half elf for his winery, and just basically called the half elf grape picker and stuff like that.
God.
No, so basically, yeah, there was a lot of... Oh wait, there was consent in this table, so that's
Yeah.
That made
definitely
it okay.
Where we're going is like elves are... I have to rescue this somehow.
Yeah.
Like elves are like the conservative, like sort of right wing
Yeah.
peeps.
Well, actually, no.
They love where. Okay, go.
No, sorry, I wouldn't compare them to real life.
No. What I mean
fine,
is like
fine.
what I mean is they have their values.
Yeah.
And they may be old school, but they believe that that's a good thing.
Well, they're entitled, basically.
Yeah.
They're entitled to their legacy. And sometimes they actually do know more. I guess the elf I've had the most interaction with would be Lanza's character, Icarus.
Oh, you want to get in there already, or you want to pass by Aramil first?
Who's Aramil?
Okay, so I get to talk.
Okay, yeah, go. Sorry, Toby, you should talk. Go. Who the hell is this guy
Okay.
or girl? I don't know.
Aramil is Philip's elf.
But okay, we're talking about you because you requested for this. Tell me about him.
All right, so when I played Curse of Strahd as Taru, Philip brought a high elf. God, I hope I get this right. Illusionist wizard called Aramil.
Okay.
And it was a treat because he couldn't judge anyone because you're in Barovia.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Actually, no. Can you?
And
you have to explain for the audience. Like,
Okay,
people
okay.
might not know what Barovia is.
Well. Long story short, lawful good elf who he flavored his sorry. No. What am I talking about? Enchanting. Did I say illusionist?
No,
Enchanter.
You said bleh.
No, at the start. I said illusionist, didn't I? Did I say enchant?
I didn't catch it.
I said illusionist. Philip, I'm so sorry. It's an enchanter wizard.
Okay.
At a school that we don't see a lot. You gotta say. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
And he flavored his enchantment spells to be a stand-in for a godlike proficiency in persuasion and other charisma checks.
Okay.
Right?
Tell me more about him.
And it was really cool. And he got to be sort of an RP, sort of like a voice of reason. And as an elf, I feel like he got to leverage on this idea that he does know better. And sure, there were moments where it got sort of like holier than thou, but his commitment to not using evocation spells, to RPing more, was definitely in line with that elven nature, sort of being more soft-hearted. Maybe speaks more toward Philip as a player, but like the creativity by which that he had to use enchantment spells to sort of get, what he wanted to happen was great. It was encounter ending sometimes. And I don't want to say that as if that's just a boon for enchantment wizards who don't get enough like screen time. Like, elves can be, as much as we rail on them, a treat to RP with when you look at this from the perspective of people who just honestly want to help. Some, you know what I mean?
Well, that's with any race.
No,
Any
just
race-
with any race, but it's flavored by this sort of feeling that they're looking at you in this way that they're guiding the other races.
That's true. But there's a certain Oh, okay, that's true. That's
know what I
very
mean?
yeah, I get it. It's like all these other races, they know less, and my job is to be their shepherd. That's kind of like the perspective. But the thing in common with all of the elves we talked about seems to be this long-standing perspective and this idea that I know better than you, I am above them, therefore I must assist in or intervene as is necessary.
You're right.
There's a certain entitlement to it, isn't there?
There is certain entitlement to it. And
Yeah.
there are times when it can get too far. But RP'd properly with the correct buy-in, it's a strong motivator for like you RPing an elf to be like, I see their unguided ways and I can help.
So I'd say Philip's elf is a traditional elf.
He is quite traditional, and in this idea where that was my first ever campaign, it put a really strong sense of that fantasy roleplay in there. Like, I really got like, that's an elf.
That's interesting. So your first brush with elves was very different from my first brush with elves.
I have to say it was very positive. I found only later did I find out everybody wasn't really like pro elf. I was like, damn, elves are great. Like, when they look at you and they're like, wow, you're fleeting life, but you accomplished so much. Parang it's like that.
Okay.
And even in like planning certain things, like just sort of maybe that's again how Philip plays. But as an elf, I feel like their RP shines, and like some people will be like, we have to do something about this now. Elves are the more temperament,
The cautious ones.
Cautious ones will be like, wait, play the long game, and there's definitely a value to that. Like especially when you're playing a hardcover with someone, and they RP it well, they can get just they will do stuff that will really have this foresight to benefit only in the long run that maybe some of the other dudes won't think about.
Okay. No, that's true. Who are because all right. Are there other elves you'd like to talk about that
Oh,
you
and
know about?
mostly like I keep saying that, but another way to just reiterate it is like elves are, I would like to say mostly I won't say flinching. Like they have values and they won't really sort of trade them out for anything.
Like dwarves, they are more tied to their nature rather than their circumstance.
Right, like, and that's part of the RP. Humans, I could be like, this is what's beneficial for me. I'm going to just break the law willy nilly, whatever. But elves seem to have that when you RP them, and I experience it also when I RP'd an elf. But from the elves that I see, like whatever values they have, they don't give up on it. That's the RP notes I got from my experiences with my elves. Now let's talk about
Icarus.
our favorite necromancer.
Yep, definitely the elf that my PCs and NPCs as a DM has had the most time to deal with.
Okay.
Icarus is Lance's character, and she's quite prominent, and she's actually one of the first thing I think of when I think of necromancer elf in Adventurers League Philippines.
Yeah, no, she's got that down pat.
Yeah, she's got down for sure. And she is actually a good example of an exiled elf. The worst punishment that an elf can ever get is to get exiled from their community, and it shows because she decided to study the arts of necromancy, which after we just had this discussion about how elves saw
Doesn't
life
seem like their thing.
after we discussed how elves viewed life as sacred.
Yeah, and spirits as unending and immortal and must be something that goes on.
Yeah. Definitely, I think the fact that she's playing an elf that absolutely denies traditional values in place of exploring knowledge, which is not the most elven trait, shows a lot of character. It actually creates a lot of inflection points.
Yeah.
And she obviously tends to butt heads with a lot more traditional type characters, which I find really interesting. Her place as an exile means that she meets more people who are like not elves,
Yeah.
as shown by her interaction with the Snitches and with My Tuesday group.
Right. It actually gives her more of a background that would be applicable to an adventurer.
Yes. So I actually think that her character is one of the truer adventurer elves, you know, because they go out, meet as many different perspectives as they can, deny some, but also respect some of those that add stuff to her goals.
Right.
So that's another kind of elf I've met. Her character is also her character callously disregards half elves as well.
Yeah.
So Kale, the other elf I was talking about earlier, was actually her apprentice.
Oh.
The two of them.
So it's an elf with a half elven apprentice.
No, Kale is a full elf.
Sorry.
Icarus and Kale are mentor and apprentice respectively.
Gotcha.
And Kale looks down on half elves. Icarus also looks down on half elves. So she actually maintains some of that part of being an elf. And again, there's a certain perspective of I know better than you and that some people are lesser than me that I find in common with all of them, even the good ones, the good one that you brought up.
Right.
I cannot actually bring up a single elf I've met who was this benevolent elf.
Well, I guess we have to invite Philip for the game.
I actually, want to meet one.
Yeah, no. Like the elf I play, I wanted to play a. I believe it's a samurai fighter subclass.
That's fucking awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
I just wanted to play this grandmaster who's been trying to sort of enhance and perfect his art or his martial art through the course of this millennia of practice, mastering a single swing, and I could only think of RPing that with an elf.
Wow. Can you imagine if all his past lives were also dedicated to that?
Exactly, and it first level 4 thing I got elven accuracy, and it worked so well for the RP and for what I was trying to do.
Okay, you know what? That's actually a really cool character concept. Someone who's like, I have immortality. I will perfect this one thing. I swear it on my immortal soul.
Right, which I can get behind more than some of the RP for wizards can sometimes be. I hunger and lust for arcane knowledge, and that I must acquire as fast as possible.
Speaking of which, there are some elves who feel like they need to extend their lives because they don't trust the reincarnation thing. Baelnorns are good liches and are primarily elves.
Shit.
Yeah, you encounter them in some 5th edition adventures, in Adventurers League actually, and they are just obsessed with knowledge. There's always something a little off with them, but they always want to extend their lives for some grander goal and are benevolent.
Right.
Actually, okay, they're also okay. One more thing it's kind of unfair to me. I've met one other player who I think plays a very down to earth elf.
Okay, go for it.
Her name is Febi Magno.
Uh-huh.
Both Lyra and Freya, they're very down to earth. The former is a wizard, the latter is a cleric, and they're usually support roles, or there's less of an extrovert presence because the characters are introverted.
Okay.
But very down to earth. So I think I can't say that all the elves I've met are racist.
You know what? That's another like angle of elves that I don't think we talked about. It's
What?
like you live so long, and it doesn't necessarily say that you were outgoing. So some people can RP elves to be sheltered as fuck. Have you got any of that?
Yeah, we both have.
Right. So like because elves live so long and Oro chill with just watching the scenery for like 100 years.
You're forgetting Isla.
What do you mean?
We played Dragon Heist with her.
Oh shit. Well, she was young.
Yeah, but also extremely cloistered.
Well, yeah. So what I mean is like because elves sort of have this like their lives can fall into the same routine for a very long time. That's what I'm trying to say. So
It's true.
like Isla and like some other elves, I'm sure, can really strongly RP this like awkward. Especially when you start meeting other races, perhaps people and places that you've only read about in books. You know what I mean?
I get it. But that being said, when you play a tabletop role-playing game and pretend to be someone else, do you think that people who play elves what do they take from playing elves? Do you think they're being their best selves? Do you think there's a certain philosophy or aspect of life they're trying to reflect?
Definitely what I'm seeing from from my experience and other elves who I've played with, you definitely get this idea that they're pro. No, well, I don't want to say anti-civilization, but they're pro the other thing.
What do you mean?
Like they live outside of civilization and view it with like a certain grain of salt. You know what I mean?
Okay, because civilization is passing and fleeting, much like their ruins of an empire.
Yeah, pretty much. Like,
Yeah, okay.
That's something that tends to be RP'd, sort of like RPing a barbarian, but with a little bit more history to it.
That's true. Yeah, that's fair.
Where like something like elves tend to play as like I speak for nature or I speak for the gods because I share in their perspective of this long term. Like I don't even see civilization.
That's true.
I perceive moments of momentous importance for their impact 100, 200, 500 years from now.
That's true. Like they're the opposite of barbarians in that sense, because barbarians only see the here and now.
Exactly.
Every day it's like, oh man, how am I gonna eat? What's survival?
Right.
Elves are like, this has happened a million times before. I'm gonna bugger out because they're gonna get this wrong again.
Yeah.
So the way they view things is the opposite. It's interesting how, like you pointed out, they can respond to things similarly.
Right. So that's one thing that they share in common. Another thing that they share in common tends to be this idea that elves have to go out to see the world.
Okay.
I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's hard to sort of justify an elf adventurer who's had just they've had a great life. Like most of them you can kind of like see them being just fine the way they are.
That's fair. Do you think that people who roleplay elves want to roleplay elves because they want to see their most beautiful and best selves?
Probably. Most of these elves are like looking for something that they haven't found in like 500 years, which is really interesting, I think, RP wise.
Yeah.
As a human, as a like as a human or as maybe I would say even a Triton, when you go out adventuring, you have the specific goal in mind.
Yes.
And maybe even you have to prove yourself. As an elf, I don't think you get that. Well, I'm not saying
you're
you
right,
don't
you're right.
ever get that, but that's weird because who are you gonna prove yourself to? Elven civilization doesn't exist. Like, what are you trying to accomplish for your house? For
Sorry.
your country?
Before, the Elven civilization does exist. Silvery Moon,
Oh, well,
different
okay.
cities. So it's not like these elves are a bunch of nomads from nomads from shitholes. I can't believe I just defended them, but you get what I mean.
I did it, guys.
There are civilizations for them to prove
right.
themselves to, and for them to be exiled from.
Okay.
Right? So
right.
there are standards that you have to uphold. So some elves, I think, have that thing, have that need to benefit their kingdoms. Like, I guess the Kale, who was a prince and wants to benefit the other elves.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I'm seeing it.
Yeah. So, I don't know, man. There's still so much to cover. Like, we haven't even gone to like elven celebrity characters, like Jarlaxle for one.
Oh my god, that's not even
is just-
because I want people to experience them fresh in a game.
Oh, that's true. You're right. We shouldn't cover them in that sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think like an important thing to cover, mostly for elves, is like what they do in game. Like just why.
What do you think?
Well, okay, fine. They get dex, they get maybe int, maybe wisdom. They make great wizards, rangers. They make great. Come on, help me out here.
Well, the extra cantrip for high elves is pretty sweet.
Pretty
Wood elves
sweet.
moving faster is also pretty great.
Wood elf monks in general are like the fastest dudes on the board,
Pretty much.
pretty much.
Next to the Tabaxis.
Next to Tabaxis.
Yeah.
You have to play an elf if you want to play a blade singer.
Oh yeah, that is super important. Why did we not talk about
Well,
that?
because we're covering the mechanics now.
Oh, good grumsh. Okay, good grumsh.
Like you have to play elves to play a blade singer.
Also, elves, by the way, are to be blamed for orcs being assholes, but we'll get to that some other time
When we do orcs.
when we do orcs. sounds wrong, but okay. Anyways,
Yeah, so you have to play an elf to be a blade singer. Apparently, arcane archers and elven art.
okay. So being a blade singer, according to elf lore, is akin to being both a great wizard and a great dancer.
Right.
They have, according to Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, they have a very casual kind of interaction with battle. They deflect things easily, and apparently a blade singer in battle is a sight to behold.
Represented mostly by their ability to expend spell slots to reduce incoming damage.
Yep.
And during a blade song, their AC gets
Increase.
incredibly high because they add their intelligence modifier.
Yeah. What do you think that? So it's a very popular class because a lot of people want to play a class that's both a wizard and sort of like a sword dancer or a fighter.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate Gish.
A what?
The ultimate Gish.
What's a gish?
Gish is like a template for any like RPG class system that both does martial and casting.
I had no idea that existed. That's so interesting.
Man, yeah, like all I play are Gishes. I mean, I hate that I can say it like that, but I do. I love the variability of it.
I mean, it's okay to own it.
Yeah,
Fine. I get that. I respect it.
yeah,
I kind of like characters with great weaknesses,
yeah. No, it's cool.
Because
And
playing around the weaknesses.
Gishes, I think they represent one thing. I think it's just basically being a jack of all trades. Because
bards.
yeah, well, what I mean is you have both martial and casting, so you're not ever like caught off guard-ish, maybe.
Okay.
So one thing that elves you can say, I don't think I've met like an uncautious elf. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're usually some form of cautious or prepared.
Okay. We have like, I'd say 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
Since we've basically gone over a few mechanics and Blade Song being an awesome side thing.
Blade Song is awesome.
Yeah, it's one of the best archetypes for wizards, I think.
XGE feats gives them extra spell casting even off an arcane caster class, so that's amazing.
I want to ask you something.
Yeah, sure.
Do you like elves? And if you do, why? If you don't, why?
Man, I love elves because they represent this sort of. They're the only dudes in their class. Like, they're not really prominently like shown in any hardcover that I've seen so far.
Are you kidding? They're in every hardcover.
No, they are.
Except
but
Curse of
they're
Strahd.
but they're never like. You never visit them. They're always this presence that has this culture that has touched nearly everything, but you never like go to Silvery Moon and talk to like the the University of or College of Wizards, right? That's so far in my experience.
Okay.
Insofar as like I've never like in game I've never visited like an elven compound.
The Underdark.
Fair. But I wouldn't have to learn Elven for that. But I still prep Elven on characters anyway. Because so many times something ancient is written in Elvish and you need somebody to understand that stuff.
Most modules have like elven ruins and stuff.
Right?
No, sorry, some modules. A lot of them have dwarven ones too.
Yeah, which is why I prep Elvish and Dwarvish, mostly because I love Tolkien, but also because it's Elvish and Dwarvish. And
that's fair.
It's super relevant.
Yeah.
But when's the last time you met like an elf NPC and you're like, I can only communicate, and it's a good thing I prepped Elvish.
That's true. That's very true. Elves all tend to know common in this universe.
Right?
Yeah.
Vis-a-vis, you'd probably get a lot of bonus points with a dwarf by speaking in Dwarven. And like orcs and orcish. And there's just a lot of like, there's a lot of, I would say, functional languages that you have to speak. One of them, read, and that's Elvish.
You know what? I agree.
Cool.
I agree with the idea that Elvish is super useful.
I love them for that. I love the flavor that they bring. I love that what they represent in terms of like this, parang nature-based society that. I love Tritons for the same reason, but even in Volos, the description from Tritons is they're like sea elves if they learn to fight.
Oh
no, seriously,
that's a huge backhand toward LC.
I didn't write that, but it's in there.
Okay, you know what? That's my favorite comment of the night. What are Tritons? Elves if they learn how to fight.
No. No.
Whoa!
They're great in a party because they tend to be that dude who makes sure you don't get ambushed in the night. He's laughing so hard.
I'm sorry, I thought the sickest burn would come from me tonight.
No.
It's like the time Raiden said that he beat Liu Kang in every conceivable timeline with just a straight face. That's pretty much
in
what
every
that was.
timeline I fight Liu Kang, and in every timeline I kill him.
No, he says in every timeline you lose. That's what it's. I'm so sorry, but that's what it sounded like.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Sorry, elves.
So guys,
No.
the caption for this post will be in our post. Tritons are basically elves if elves learn to fight. Ooh,
Sea elves, but
fine, whatever. Same thing.
Same thing. Oh my god, who's gonna get on my case for this? Hopefully they don't watch past minute 57, you know what I mean?
I'm gonna include a timestamp to that immediately. No, sorry, keep going.
Alright, so like I love elves for that. And because like now that I guess like previously how elves have been RP'd are sort of kind of Tolkien-esque. They're visitors from somewhere else and they're here to sort of like get updated, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's usually their thing. So they're usually the ones who can get the DM to start expositing on what current affairs are going on and can sort of do that thing. Versus if you were like in Waterdeep and you're Waterdavian, sometimes it goes under the bridge.
Actually, I kind of want to see more elves be like, I knew your father, or I was here when like the Open Lord of Waterdeep was elected like 2 generations ago.
Dude, that's how I RPG Tritons.
Really? So they're basically elves who can fight?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
No,
Man.
elves should be able to do that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Why would you rather play a Triton than an elf? Because you kind of make them sound like they're basically sea elves.
Okay, wait. Okay. They're basically better half elves, and I'll tell you why.
Oh my god. You wanted to piss off how many communities today?
God damn it.
Sorry, go.
Okay, I'll tell you
I'm
why.
listening.
Because if you wanted to play a paladin, you'd get charisma, constitution, and strength. You can do that as a half elf. But they're auto locked in Tritons with casting and swim speed and water breathing to boot.
So the appeal is mechanical.
And goddamn, ain't it cool? When's the last time there was a movie about elves?
Are you really asking that question?
No. Well, wait, let me think about that. Cause, like, I don't know when. Because I can tell you when there was the last time when there was a movie about water people. I'll
You
tell
mean
you that.
Aquaman?
Duh. Wait, man, I'm not trying to toot my horn. I'm telling you why I want to play elves. And when I played elves,
Yeah.
that one time, as I described,
Yeah.
don't give me that face.
I can't get over it. It's just I'm
No,
so
okay.
happy.
You're so happy, bro.
Yeah, I am happy.
Okay, that's good. Making this podcast should make you happy. So, it's so off already. Okay, so that one time I played an elf.
Yeah.
It's because I wanted to sort of not only mechanically but also show the RP of a really diligent and patient person who spent millennia perfecting a certain art. And that, like, you can't get that kind of patience, that kind of, like, I don't know how else to say this, like long
The caliber.
the caliber, right? With any other, I'm saying that right now. You can't get that anywhere else.
Okay. It's fair.
So if you want to play like that kind of fighter, if you want to play the ancient wizard, if you want to play a monk who wants to perfect their art, if you want to play a forge cleric who wants to perfect their art, I don't know, anybody who's sort of like this, a guy who has a thing he does, and sort of you want to RP that I am studying this discipline and want to take it so far and dedicate my life to it. You cannot go wrong with elves, because they, even their background and the way that you can RP them, they are some of the greatest artisans, some of the greatest poets, some of the greatest like wizards and like scholars, just because of how like long-lived they are in the breadth of their experience.
Yeah, I like how they can basically expand the limits of their mortal life very differently from other humanoids. Other humanoids pass on skills to apprentices or children, but elves are like, no, this is just me, see you in the next life.
Yeah, like
No, that's
yeah,
true.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see an RP for a wizard. It's like, I have this house where I keep all of the notes, and when I pass on, I just go back to that house and study back everything.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
It's interesting. But the elves don't like know everything about their previous lives. I don't think they'll even have the same feelings as their previous lives.
Damn.
They just have bits and memories from that, and the acknowledgement that their soul is the same. Like it's like Am.
I'm getting
Like
no.
he's not exactly like the previous avatars.
Yeah.
You know?
But you get visions.
Yes. So the quest will not always be. Well, then again, Avatar's a bad example because his quest is always the same. So, yeah.
And you know what? Elves are sort of like influenced by that same RP, where in Avatar's like, because I've been reincarnated, because I have this long line of experience, it's up to me to sort of like see what's going wrong with the world, go out there and help it.
That's fair.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's why I like elves. As a DM, I like elves because you get to poke fun at the other races in the party.
Okay, that's fair.
Like, they're just fun to RP. Like, if you're an elf and there's a half elf or a dwarf in the party, it's a great time to sort of just poke at their sort of, you know, that casual racism D&D gets into.
We're not advocating racism.
We're not
by the way.
okay. That's just me as a DM.
But creating, I know what Toby means. Like Oh man, that sounded weird. But like, we're not advocating that. It just means that when people are different, learn to get along. Elves have a very hoity-toity way of showing off their race, so I guess that's okay.
Man, like, if you want to have an episode on Tritons, yes.
I think it will be yeah, we can have an episode on Tritons.
Yeah,
actually.
man. It's gonna be a short one, guys. It's not gonna be as long as this one. There's so much shit about elves.
Well, you gotta start Googling, man.
Yeah, man. So what else about elves? I think, as a player, very valid, both mechanical and RP choice. As a DM, it's really hard to advocate for like Adventures League to add more elves into your adventure. I don't think that's a thing.
Are you kidding? There's so many elves already.
There's so many elves, but mostly drow. And if
There's a whole hardcover.
yeah, for drow.
2 hardcovers.
For drow.
3 hardcovers.
For drow.
Yeah, for drow.
Yeah, that's 1/3.
Out of the Abyss, Dragon Heist, and Dungeon of the Mad Mage all have prominent drow presence.
All right, but that's drow. I can't say anything else. It's just that's 1 out of 3.
And elves, I think, have a lot of precedent in Rise of Tiamat because they pissed off the Platinum Dragons. So the Platinum Dragons are gonna ask them for. Sorry, spoiler alert. Elves. They're gonna ask the elves for something.
Okay, so
yeah.
if you want to RP drow specifically any better, that's that. They're backstabby and in general kind of power hungry. I mean, how else am I gonna put it? That's why they make great villains. And
Okay.
because like at the heart of it all, don't they have like sort of ties to their family? Kind of.
Yeah, they do.
So that's like a strong motivator also, I guess.
Ish. For drow, it's very, very, very ish.
Okay.
I wouldn't say they have strong ties to their families in the wholesome traditional sense,
Shit.
but
All right.
they are definitely into their families.
They're definitely into their families.
In ways I do not want to discuss right now.
So I think you can play elves however you want, but if you really want to get the best out of them, you're going to play these really sort of patient, elegant people who definitely are passionate about their own values while taking other people's perspectives into account. Mostly because they understand, despite the short-livedness of the other races, that they share this world. Because it's like elves are they've gone through every state of civilization, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
So like they've tried everything, they've done everything. So when they see other people try, they see it as noble and sort of
Or cute.
or cute, kind of like that, right? There's a certain charm, I guess, that they get with other people's stuff. They can be sort of distant, I guess, but
Yeah.
when they are passionate, they're very passionate. I think like that's what I get from the elves that I play with.
That's fair.
How about you? Good or not? Hey Lance, how do you feel about elves?
Oh yeah.
So, and if you don't, or if you do, why do you love, or just don't like playing elves so much?
I actually like elves as a DM because it allows me to insert a lot of history,
Yeah, man.
and they get to be first accounts rather than second-hand accounts.
Okay.
For one. But in general, and I don't mean to offend people who do like elves, they don't resonate with me.
Yeah.
I absolutely dislike their lore because I generally don't like characters who see themselves as perfect. I don't like characters who have some sort of precursor for being extremely good without working for it. And elves can basically say, I've had hundreds of years to do this. This is why I'm good at what I do.
And this is why we're both gonna start at level 1 and do this thing.
Yeah, but elves usually have that hoity-toity, like sort of arrogant kind of perception of them. And maybe this is just my bias, and I totally get it.
Can I just say that I learned the word hoity-toity from Philip.
Nice.
So there's a lot of that going around today.
All right, this is for you, Philip. But Like, in Dragon Age, when I had the option to punch Solas, I took it every time and loaded to that saved game so I could do it again.
Bro, you wanna play a mini game on how many stand-ins for elves in other places we can find?
They're not stand-ins, they're actual elves.
No, definitely. But other times that they're called in other things too. Later. You finish what you're doing.
Yeah, so I don't think I enjoy playing elves as a race. I tend to not like very traditional characters.
Uh-huh.
I have a very hard time playing those kinds of characters because I think they're too close to home. The issues that they have and the things that they endorse are a bit too close to home for me.
Okay.
But I guess it's fine if you like elves. But I personally don't like elves as a race. There's a lot of rich history to it, but I don't find them that interesting. And that's just me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that's it. That's really it for me in terms of elves. But
do you think that? Sorry, just to were you done with why and stuff?
Yeah, I think I'm good. I'm good.
But do you think at least for us in ALPH, they're well represented?
Yeah, there are a lot of elves for sure.
And in fact, the half elves kicked the half orcs' asses in
Faerun Rumble. Yeah, they did.
This Sunday.
Sunday.
Oh my god.
Over at Christoph's posts.
Yo, dude. I expected half orcs to take that one.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I knew from the start that half elves were just more popular. Because I think that when you play a TRPG, you play the race that you kind of see yourself in, sort of, but also exemplifies qualities that you like.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of people like aesthetics, and half elves and elves are just generally prettier.
Yeah, man, that's another thing. They're so fun to make fan art out of.
Wow, totally.
And I guess, and you know what? I guess they're the easiest to find art of.
Yeah, but
probably.
I think what makes me dislike elves and half elves, not half elves, mostly elves, so much, is how. Well, this is going back to why, but it is how they exemplify a lot of things that are traditionally valued by society.
Yeah.
Things that people who are not disenfranchised would generally look up to but not have.
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of don't like them. I find them to be
they're a bit
very superficial.
Too fantasy for you, is that what you're saying?
No, I think they're too superficial.
Okay. And how would you...
And one-dimensional.
And how would you add depth and humanize them?
Well,
I know that's a weird way to put it, but... You know what I mean?
No,
add complexity.
No, it's not that they're not complex, okay? They have a layer of complexity, but I don't like the history of how elves are and how they're supposedly this very special, blessed race of beautiful people and stuff. It just doesn't resonate with me.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. I guess if people wanted to play being beautiful in a game, that's fine. It's just not my thing,
Yeah, or play a high charisma, anything else.
Yeah, but playing an elf is different, right? Because you are beautiful by design, by nature, and stuff like that. So I'm not crazy about it.
Okay.
But I respect people who play tabletop role-playing games to play the thing that they want to see in themselves, or to play their best selves if that's how they see it.
Or just be sort of... have a special place in a special... sort of to have a special pedestal in what is already a very special place of Faerun.
That's right. Elves are special.
No, come on, bro. What I mean is, since everyone's special,
nobody is.
There we go. So, so it's more of they are just kind of like a cream of the crop, I guess.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry for ripping on you so much, Toby. It's just you can tell that I'm kind of doing a lot of indirect hooks to indirect left hooks at elves.
It's not very indirect.
You're right.
Well, okay. Yeah. So on the topic of elves, I think we've covered pretty much
not everything.
We covered a lot.
We never covered. Okay, if we had more time, we'd probably cover Shadar-kai, Eladrin, and a bunch of other elf tie-in stuff.
Nah, dude.
Mithranor.
Maybe.
Mythals.
Oh my god. But let's not. There's so much already to unpack from the PHB and Mordenkainen.
Yeah, but this discussion, as with all of our discussions, will be more of our our surface level thoughts on things we find out, and maybe random tidbits we cram into while studying.
And you know what? If we're up to it, we'll put a sort of like crash course to Elven, like Faerunian elves, in the description by just putting like the page and the annotations and stuff.
Yep, and maybe if this is such a hot topic that people want to hear about more, we could probably invite someone who's a real expert on this thing.
And can actually talk about elves, or in MK, the Edenians.
You know, it's one of those situations. Edenia, oh my god. They don't even have pointy ears in Mortal Kombat.
Well, okay, so
but they are the stand-ins.
Right, so you have Edenians and MK. Elves in sort of like they have a different connotation, I think, and I'm gonna get this wrong, but like, I wanna say, gosh dang it, I'm finishing a thought. You go first. Where else have you found elves in your life?
Dragon Age, Lord of the Rings.
Are they in Skyrim?
Yeah, there's a lot of them in
They
Skyrim.
look very different in Skyrim.
It depends on the art direction. Sometimes they look like traditional elves. Sometimes they look like big, puffy, punchable faces.
Yeah, and if you like elves in D&D because you played an elf in Skyrim, is anything different? Were they any different? I don't remember. I don't remember anything about elves.
Honestly,
in Skyrim.
that's a whole discussion in itself. So we should probably park that. Because
Skyrim and D&D basically.
yeah, so yeah, and that you think this is enough?
I think that's plenty.
That's plenty.
So, thanks guys. I know that and a lot of times I got a bit rambly there, but that's just because, hey, you asked the Downtime dudes about elves.
I know. Thank you for requesting for this topic, Philip. For anyone else who's listening, feel free to comment and shoot us a message and just tell us what you want to hear and what you want us to talk about. We have some other topics planned.
Yeah, and they're all sort of lined up. Like, I'm not saying don't worry about it. It's just that we're really excited to like cover a bunch of these other topics.
Yeah, and I think that the direction we're going in right now is we want to be able to cover stuff that is requested.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, this was actually kind of fun.
Actually, it was super fun.
Yeah.
So, what else do we have in store? We have... Is there anything we want to plug? AA stuff?
For Adventures Anonymous, we've recently launched a contest called Aftershock. And this is if you lost in Halaster Boning in our recent Adventurers League the recent Adventurers League Epic, which is also called Last Call Last Order at the Yawning Portal. Last Call at the Yawning Portal. Mm-hmm. If you lost at that and had to submit a 1,500 word essay to Wizards of the Coast, we have an additional contest to that. If you submit it to us as well, the best essay we read will have its art. Will have the character's art done by one of the artists over at our booth, and as Employee of the Month.
Dude, that's so cool.
Yeah, it is. I'm pretty excited. No other shoutouts for me for now.
All right. I think. Do you want to talk about Dudes Versus?
We don't have enough details yet.
Okay. So,
but yeah, we're planning something.
Hopefully, we're planning something. We're planning to hopefully kick cancer in the nuts.
Well, yeah, we're gonna try to kick
cancer in the nuts. Very recently, ALBGC had a SL Con where some people were just free on a non-vacation Thursday, and some people took fake sick leave. I'm not advocating. I'm not saying that was a good thing. Bad, guys, very bad. But
if you are the employers of these people, we're not going to give names.
We're not going to give names. But a lot of people had a lot of fun, and we might have a sick leave con 2. Electric Boogaloo.
Why are we advocating this?
We're not No. This one is going to be on an actual holiday.
Wow, the next holiday I can think of is Independence Day on June 12th.
Then that would be when it is. That's Wednesday, right?
Yes, it is.
All right, so we're having that. This 15th, League of Extraordinary Best Friends is having a Drink Talk Learn session.
Nice.
I'm not sure if this episode is going to be out before then, but even if it's after, you can always go back to the League of Extraordinary Best Friends Facebook to watch that stream. We're going to have people having dinner with us to talk about their passion topic in tabletop RPG. Hopefully you'll get to learn something. Hopefully it's a bunch of laughs.
Do you your birthday's coming up?
Come on, dude.
What?
On the 15th, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like this. I know it's a league thing, but it feels like a birthday party for you.
No. Promise it's not.
I know it's not, but there's gonna be some serious overlaps.
There's gonna be some serious overlap, and if anybody is interested in health pots, I can run some games, I guess.
Well, everyone on the 15th, remember to greet Toby. Anyways, I think
Guys,
more
I think that's really good. Again, thank you, Gab, for the cool header. Please visit us on our YouTube. We've recently created a Facebook, and I think we're going to head on Twitter as well.
soon.
We're really excited to release some more of these episodes. They've been super fun to make.
Yeah.
Oh wait, just before we close out, I recently got a suggestion to add like some background music. Please tell us, like maybe we can experiment with that because we'll have to look for some free to use music that lasts about as long as 2 hours. I don't think that's hard to do. It's just that I know how to insert that into the video to have like this background music playing on in the background while we talk. But it's gonna require some experimentation, and we've also gotten some feedback that people want to see our faces, which I don't get.
I think it's also Philip. I think I saw that comment.
No, there were two. That it was Philip and Camille.
Oh really? Damn. Okay.
Well, your fiance wants to see your face, man.
Oh man, that's
Maybe
so touching.
like for this episode, we can just have like your ID picture instead of like.
And then like have a moving mouth every time. Oh, yeah, that sounds.
Dude. Oh wait,
painful.
like thank you for bringing that up. Elves in Warcraft.
I think we're past that topic.
Yeah, maybe.
Elves are
Warcraft
also in
and D&D. Man, there's just so much, right?
We can never finish that.
We can never finish. So, guys, thank you once again for tuning in.
Thank you.
This episode should be out this Friday, this
Yeah,
Saturday. We can finish the render by tonight.
We can probably release this earlier in the week too.
Damn, yeah.
An experiment and stuff.
Yeah. Guys, please tell us about what's an ideal release schedule.
It's a podcast,
Well, what I mean is, like,
not a stream. So
what I mean is, when do you guys listen to this? On the way to work? It might be nice on a Monday so you can like keep it going throughout the week on your commute. What do you think?
sounds good.
Sounds good. Okay, guys, thank you very much for visiting in.
Yep.
We have been the
Downtime
Downtime Dudes. Man, we're on sync with that shit.
I feel like
Thanks.
we should start and end our podcast with high fives.
Oh yeah,
That'd be kind of fun.
and we should say, dude.
Okay, that one we'll talk about. I'm kidding. Anyways, thanks guys.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.